I want to talk about used EVs. Why? Because I'm currently sitting in one. I'm sitting in my used EV and I've been using it for my commute, which honestly, that's something that you should be doing as well. Now, to be clear, I'm not saying that everybody has to drive an EV. In fact, I don't like legislation about that. I think that that's silly because there are use cases for different scenarios for absolutely everybody. However, the majority of people in their cars, they drive to and from work and you have a really predictable amount of miles that you know that you need to drive. And if like this has a battery, for example, of 290 miles, I drive 26 miles a day. It's totally fine. People also don't like the thought of having to use public infrastructure for charging. This car rarely uses public infrastructure for charging. Almost all of the time, I plug in at my house using my 16 amp charger, which is not really fast whatsoever, but it's more than sufficient for what I need. In fact, that's what we've been using as our primary vehicle. I bought this particular vehicle because it fits the car seats in the back really, really well, and it is alarmingly inexpensive to drive. And I really like that that is a really good concept in EVs, is that they're just inexpensive to buy because they've depreciated quite a bit and they're really inexpensive to operate, and you don't have to spend a whole bunch of time doing things like timing belts and fan belts and oil changes and tune-ups. You don't have to do any of that. So I understand that a lot of people have some really strong feelings about EVs, but they're really good cars for your commute. And if we decide that we want to go on a longer road trip or do anything that is not going to be a good fit for this, we're just going to drive our gasoline car. As of right now, there is still a $4,000 used EV credit that you can claim in 2025. There are some really specific stipulations, things like the vehicle has to be less than $25,000 and only have one owner between August 2022 and the present. But there are a lot that are available, and tools like CarMax help you find those cars really easily. There's also a $7,500 credit if you buy a new vehicle, and it's really good to look into things like that. And then there's some vehicles that are halfway in between, like the new Nissan Leaf. You get a $3,750 tax credit, and it all has to do with where the car is produced and the minerals that go into the batteries. So if you're looking for a commuter and you want to go for a used EV, I know tons about this. Feel free to drop a comment or send us a message. We ended up getting a 2021 Ford Mustang Mach-E, and it hit all of the boxes for that used EV tax credit. In fact, the dealership, they took the used EV tax credit and just took it off of the principal of the car, which is something that they are allowed to do, which was really cool of them. There are Tesla Model Ys that you can find in this price range. They're not as common as Tesla Model 3s. There's a lot of Tesla Model 3s that will qualify. Other vehicles that you can look into are like the Subaru Solterra and the Toyota BZ4X, which are not nearly as exciting to drive, but they're going to be inexpensive. They're going to have really low miles on them. The Kia EV6 is also a possibility, or the Chevy Bolt.